this is a great opportunity for you to hit the restart button. And if it's not what you want to do, all right, so start dreaming, start thinking about it, start journaling, just write it down and figure out. It doesn't mean that you're actually going to do it. All it means is that you're willing to have a conversation with yourself and be honest with yourself about the possibilities.
Hi, welcome to another episode of the Mom Does It All podcast. I'm Marta Spurk, your host, triplet mom, health and success coach, and all things motivation extraordinaire. Today I'm going to be chatting with transformational coach, podcaster, and mama, Char Lex. I know every week I say our show is so rich and amazing with every guest, but I gotta say, Char is special in her own way. I really felt like I was having a conversation with myself. We think a lot of like, and especially in terms of the breakthroughs that you have once you become a mom and all of the whirlwinds of parenting. And it's just such a beautiful opportunity to meet her and talk to her. This is why I love this show. Why do you love it? Be sure to reach out and let me know. Let's dive in. Hey, do you like print tees with clever sayings in it? Rhetorical question. Every mama does. Head on over to the Tea Studio shop on Etsy or Instagram and check out their stuff. They ship internationally, and if you use code MOMDOESITALL, you'll get 15% off your entire purchase. Hi, Char. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, how are you?
I am great. I'm so excited for our chat.
Me too. I'm super excited about it too.
Yeah, so I'm always talking about how, moms need to look inside themselves and try to better themselves because it all starts with us being the foundation of the family pretty much. And, by bettering ourselves, we're helping our kids, our spouses, and being a better spouse and being a better mom. And I know you believe in that and talk a lot about that. Can you tell a little bit about, how your work came to be? And I know one of your courses talks about being a better parent or being your better self to be a better parent. Just share a little bit about that, please.
Yeah, of course. And so I think it's important to start here. Before I had kids, I actually worked at a nonprofit downtown Toronto where I live. And this nonprofit, I was doing career mentoring for the kids within the community. And part of the job that I had was really sitting down and listening to these kids dream big about the future that they wanted, but also realizing what kind of skills they had that can help them to make their dreams become a reality. Now, fast forward years later, and to a certain extent, I'm still doing that work. My demographic is different. It's no longer high school students. Now I'm working with moms, really just to figure out those things, dreaming big about what it is they want their futures to look like. But it's really scaling back to and sorting out, well, how am I showing up right now? Yeah. And then what are the tools? What are the resources? What are the things that I have to do to get from where I am right now to where I want to be? Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. And I think, that's a lot of what I say too, because it seems like that once we have kids, we kind of forget about who we are and that we have talents and that, we're still allowed to dream and, think about our future. In fact, we should, and we don't enough. We don't set, well, how is my life going to be like a year from now, 5 years from now? And this is great because I really truly believe in that. And can you tell us about how you came to create the course that you have about moms finding that and becoming their better self?
Yeah, of course. So through my process of being a transformational coach, I realized that I was sitting down in workshops and talking to moms one-on-one, but really having this desire, because I think I do have a passion to teach, but really wanting this to be more than just, 20 people in a room. That I'm able to share this information with. And so I really started looking at the idea of e-courses. And what I like about e-courses is that it really takes down all of those barriers of distance. You know, like I know there are moms who have said to me, I need to come to your course, I need to come to your workshop, but I don't have a babysitter.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't have the time because I'm juggling work and I'm juggling taking care of the kids. I just don't have the time.
Right.
Right. And I think that having an e-course really just eliminates a lot of barriers for
Yes.
moms to access information.
Yes.
Right. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you want this information, you can have it at your fingertips.
Yeah.
And you can do it at a pace that works for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the great things that I loved to teach other moms in my workshops was around this idea of parenting from your best self. So, what does that even mean?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times that means that you are pausing, because I think that as moms, we're going,
Yes.
right? And we're filled with all of this overwhelm and stress and anxiety and worry. Every different stage that our kids go through really creates in us a new level of stress and
Yes.
worry, And so I think it's so important to start at a place where you're pausing. And if you pause long enough, you can actually then figure out, okay, so on my autopilot, this is how I'm showing up to my family. Is this how I want to show up? And if it's not, what are my steps to getting to how I can show up better?
Right.
Right. And I think not enough moms even have the time or the wherewithal to even stop long enough to really go through that by themselves. And this is what this course does. It really helps you to go through it. There's like module workbooks. There are extra supports around resources. Everything is there for you to walk through this process on your own. And it's almost like me right there with you throughout the whole step, coaching you along in terms of figuring out how you can show up for your family as your best self.
Yes, I love that. And I've been talking a lot about that because we were just talking about having toddlers. And I've noticed like a pattern whenever there's a different phase and a different transition, I get super overwhelmed. I start complaining a lot about their behavior. And then I pause. I finally, and I've been getting better at it because it's a process of remembering that I should do this for their sake, right? For my sake too, but for their sake. And, to help with their behavior. Me pausing and correcting my attitude, changing my attitude changes everything. And
totally.
I love that you're saying, it's hard for you to do this by yourself. It's hard for you to remember that you decide if you're going to be overwhelmed or not by these situations. And I always say, like, by being a coach, it's like you're being that person's little voice that they don't have yet or that they haven't developed on their own. And we all need that little voice, right? And it all starts with someone helping us get there. So I love that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, we talked about autopilot. Can you explain a little bit more about that? Because I know we talked about this when we had our chat previously, and I love that concept.
Well, yeah, I think that a lot of times we just show up on our autopilot. We show up just as we are. And the truth of the matter is we have no clue sometimes how the people around us are experiencing us, and how they're receiving us.
Yes.
And the thing about it is we actually don't have to show up on our autopilot. We can choose to go on a path of wholeness, a path of health, if we want to.
Right.
And that path, that journey of development and self-discovery and self-awareness means that we're moving away from our autopilot and moving into patterns of being that are more intentional and more serving, more helpful to our family at large.
Oh, I resonate so much with this. Before you even said self-discovery, I had already written a note here that I was going to say, this is what I've been thinking about. And then you said it. So literally, it's great confirmation that everything that I've been thinking about, somebody else is thinking about. And this is just awesome. I love it. It makes so much sense. I mean, this is what mom life really is. And I mean, with everybody, but like I always say, there's something about motherhood that challenges so much in your life and all your thoughts, all your values, everything you've ever known. It's like starting over again in some sense. Right?
Oh, it totally is. Like, and here in Toronto, when I was going through my maternity leave, it's 12 months, right? And during those 12 months of maternity leave, we have a lot of time on our hands as moms.
Hmm.
Time to think in the middle of the night when you're up breastfeeding,
Uh,
time to, ponder as you're walking to the park with your baby. There's so much time that we have to really analyze our lives and
hmm.
figure out, you know, is this what I want? And
Hmm.
I think a lot of times, we finish school and we go on into the work that we've chosen,
Yeah,
and that's an autopilot,
it
you
is.
know?
Hmm.
We make decisions sometimes to please our families, because, well, our parents want us to go into this line of work, and we go through university, and we go through school, and we do it, and we do this job. But the question now becomes, when you're in these spaces of pause, is this what I want to do?
Hmm.
Right? And a
Yeah.
lot of times, this is a great opportunity for you to hit the restart button. And if it's
Hmm.
not what you want to do, all right, so start dreaming, start thinking about it, start journaling, just write it down and figure out, okay, so if I could do anything else, what are the things that I would do, and start writing it down. And it
Hmm.
doesn't mean that you're actually going to do it. All it means is that you're willing to have a conversation with yourself and
Yes.
be honest with yourself about the possibilities,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And so that's what having a child really, for a lot of women, it opens up this whole new way of thinking, this whole new way of dreaming again,
It does.
right?
Hmm.
But then taking into consideration who you are right now, because you're different than
Yes.
your 16-year-old self who
Hmm.
chose this path a long time ago,
Oh yeah. Oh
right?
yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, what is the decision that you want to make now? Who is the person that you want to be now?
Right.
Those are questions for you to ask yourself.
Right. And there is no shame in deciding that you want to take a different path because you've changed by having
Yeah.
a kid. And
Yes.
that's what I think, most of us feel kind of worried or, afraid of taking a different direction. But that's the beauty. Like, it's like having a kid allows you to take a
Hmm.
different direction if you so choose. And that's amazing. And I love about, journaling, and I talk about it like a brain dump, because that's one of the terms that
Mm.
I've learned recently. And it's so important. And I never really knew how important that was. And for me, sometimes writing doesn't come so naturally because I like talking so much. And I've been even encouraging the ladies that I coach, record your voice, make a video of yourself if that's better, because maybe some other people are like me, and that's going to help you get some ideas out. And really, when you get those ideas out, you get to reflect on your desires, things that you don't even know are in there, right?
Hmm. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that are in your course is the Enneagram. And I remember last time we chatted, you mentioned it. And then I had my counseling session last week, and my counselor mentioned it. And she was like, you should take it, you should do it. So tell us a little bit more about what that is and how that is incorporated in your course.
Of course. So the Enneagram is this personality typing system. And this tool is really ancient. It's been developed over the last, 50 to 100 years. The great thing about it is it shows us 9 different ways that we can show up in the world. And the great thing about this that's different from other personality systems is the idea that you don't just know or find out what your type is. This gives you an opportunity to really discover how you can grow into a more healthy and vibrant version of yourself.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much everything that we've been talking about with, finding who you really are and what your talents are. And that's totally what I'm all about. And I love what the words that you use, show up in the world. And this has everything to do with the autopilot. We don't notice how we're showing up in the world because this is just who we are. And then we assume this is just who I am. I can't do anything about it, but that's not true.
Well, exactly, right? And so this is the great thing about this is that it really gives you a take on the fact that you don't have to stay there. You don't have
Mm-hmm.
to stay in this position. You don't have to stay in this frustration. You don't have to stay in this sort of relationship with other people,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
You can instead break out. And a huge part of breaking out is shifting yourself.
Hmm.
I think a lot of times we see other people and we feel like they're doing something to me. You know, they're saying that to hurt me. They're doing that to hurt me. And the truth of the matter is, they're not even thinking about you,
No.
right? They're just running on their own autopilot.
Yes.
And so this allows you to really realize that there are different ways of being. So for me, I might think, okay, this is how I would do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for many people, we think, well, this is how everybody would do it.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth of the matter is, it's not.
No.
They could be coming from a completely different space.
Yes.
And part of the growth here is understanding that.
Yeah.
And once you realize that, you know, there's 9 different ways of showing up, right? And each with its, like everyone will have their unique flavor to those ways of
Mm-hmm.
showing up, but there's really 9 key ways of showing up. I think once we understand that, we're able to offer the people around us a lot more compassion
Yes.
and a lot more grace.
Yes, definitely. And there is so much growth. You mentioned that there is so much growth in accepting that people are different and they're doing things differently, and that's okay. And that you can find a way to still have a relationship with people. And that's what the beautiful thing is really about relationships. And this resonates with me so much because I've been talking a lot about my husband, especially, you know, with the challenges of toddlers and parenting and, you know, disciplining them. We have different views, we have different perspectives. And the reason why is because we are different people. And it's just, it is the way it is. And the earlier we accept this, the easier it'll be on us to say that we're not doing anything to, you know, hurt each other or, you know, it's just because we're different people.
Mm-hmm. And I think the thing about it too is that he's running on his autopilot. You're running on your autopilot, right?
Yeah.
But once you understand what that autopilot is,
Yes.
it makes it so much easier for you in your mind to say, okay, I'm offering you loving kindness because you're just showing up on your autopilot and you're working through your own stuff to get to a healthier place.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. We're all
And
working.
yeah, we're all working, right? And so I think this just gives you that kind of like breathing room where you can just say that to the people who you love.
Yes. Because that's where love is, right? Is just embracing and accepting that others are different and finding it in yourself to become a better person so that you can have a better relationship with the people around you, even if they don't want to become a better person themselves.
Exactly.
Awesome. And so you do have a podcast. What are some other ways that we can connect with you? And I know you have another course as well.
Yeah. So my podcast is called Village Mama. And it's this idea that as moms, we all have stories that we can share with each other and an opportunity to learn from each other. And that we need to create spaces where that can happen. You know, in the past, that happened for our grandmothers and some of our moms, where they're able to sit in a village setting and share what it meant to be a mother, you know? And this coming of age of womanhood was really just everybody understood, everybody knew, everybody weighed in, and it was done so, you know, in a way that people, women, young women, had a community around them. They're not going through a lot of these things on their own.
Right.
And I think that in our modern society, especially in North America, we're so busy and we're so like just encapsulated in our nuclear families that we've lost a little bit of that.
We did.
You know, that community, that sense of belonging, you know, the advice and the wisdom of other mothers around us. And when we have children of our own, you know, we're trying to figure it all out for ourselves, a lot of times using books or videos. But I think there's something to be said about having that community too.
Yes, it's not the same.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Right. And so I don't think that it's throwing out the baby with the bathwater. I think it's really pulling together all of the resources that
Yes.
we have.
Oh, yeah. I always say we need all the help we can get as moms, all the encouragement. So
Totally.
I love the origin of that name. I didn't even know that that's what it meant, and it makes so much sense. And it's again has everything to do with everything that I've been doing, creating this community for moms to share their experiences and relate to each other and realize they're not alone. Everyone's going through this in some way.
Yeah. And it's actually through the podcast that we even met. And so that's
I
the
know,
thing about creating community. Like when you have an intentionality behind wanting to create community, it doesn't have to be limited by geography,
right? Yeah,
right?
that's
And
the
I think
beautiful
that's
thing
what I
about
love about
the
it. Yeah.
internet. Awesome. And so, how can we connect with you? You're on Facebook. You have your website.
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook. I have my website, charlex.com. You can find my various courses there. You can find blog posts for moms. You can find the podcast, all the different podcast episodes there too. And so that's really the hub that you can find everything from.
Awesome. And I'll be sure to pop those links into the details for the episode as well so people can reach out to you. And you're also in my community on Facebook, so you can join us there and talk to Char as well. Thank you so much. This was great, as usual.
It was my pleasure entirely. Thank you for having me on.
How awesome was this episode? Don't forget to share and tag us on your stories on Instagram. And how would you like to be interviewed on the show? I have one more spot for 2018 and would love to get to know you and your story. Go to martaspurk.coach/contact and fill out the podcast guest form. And I'll be in touch. As always, don't forget to join our Mom Does It All community on Facebook, and please leave us a review. It'll take you 5 seconds. Love you. Bye.